Hi everybody, it's Faye, and today we are going to do some makeup for our character that we have been creating in this series of character building from the ground up. Well, first we're going to go over the items we're going to be using for this kind of tutorial slash what I do to create a character makeup look. I always recommend giving yourself a minimum of an hour to do any heavy character makeup. If you're not big into doing like decorative makeup or detailed makeup, if you're not really like artistic, I wouldn't recommend doing something like a Felinae. I would recommend sticking really basic, going with a human, or like in our Larp, gypsies are really easy. You just have to wear a fake rose tattoo. The Dverg, which used to be dwarves, you just paint triangles all the way down, kind of to represent braids, I guess. Another really easy one is Palateth. You just wear, they're half-elves, so they wear pointed ears and they have a triangle on their necks. So there's lots of more basic examples. Mongrels and like half-fae and Felinae and Canids are definitely some of the more makeup-intensive characters. So that's my disclaimer, is if you don't want something that's, if you're not good at like doing a ton of makeup, I would recommend not picking this kind of character. But this is for a heavy makeup intensive character. So I have my prosthetic, which I've already painted. There are about 1 million tutorials on how to do this already. I'm going to share Larp houses below because Cheyenne has a really good tutorial on how to paint these. So you can see that I've just painted it all. The only thing that I still have to do is the tip of the nose, and I just don't have the right paint for that color for that right now. So that'll get done before I go to Larp, but it's not done today. I have some makeup wipes because I always wipe my face before I start any heavy makeup application. I have a large supply of water-based or water-activated makeup pads. This is this is the majority of what we're going to be using today, which is a gray by Aquacolor, or it's a gray aqua color by Kryolan. The color is 32B. We're also going to be using some of my Paradise by Mayron in black. And then they did not have the big thing of white, so I'm going to have to go get another one. So today we're going to be using a little teeny tiny Ben Nye Magic Cake Aqua Paint in CF1 Cloud White. Again, I will be replacing the Ben Nye one with probably an aqua color or a Paradise, because those are my kind of preferred colors. So those are the face paints we're going to be using. Obviously, I find that the best way to mix these kind of paints is with a spray bottle, because then you're just putting in a little bit of water at a time until you get the right consistency. Little sponges, I only have one with me. I don't recommend doing it this way, so we're going to see how well this works. We might have to go find some more sponges. And then the last two things I have are Prozaid to attach the prosthetic with, and some white powder. And what we're going to be doing with this is outlining the nose in the very beginning so that we know where to put our Prozaid. This is not a permanent step. Most people use like what they call a translucent powder or a white face powder. But I don't have that, so we're going to try doing it with white eyeshadow and hoping for the best. This is actually what I use for Saskia's eyebrows normally. So, oh, and then of course, am I sitting on it? I bet I am. Yeah. Of course, we're going to start everything off with a headband. So, step one is going to be to put on your headband so that your hair is pulled away from your face. Oh, I also have a mirror. Where did I put that? Oh. So, forgot to mention in the beginning, I also have a good sized mirror. So, we're going to put our hair back and get started. So, please excuse my terrible face. Obviously, I'm not wearing makeup because I'm going to be applying heavy makeup. So I'm going to have, we discussed having Pinterest as like the way of having all of your stuff available and visible to you. So we're going to just open up that Pinterest page that has our Felinae face that we want to use. And I'm just going to have that open in the background to kind of refer off of, and then I'll probably do like a side-by-side comparison once we are done here. I think that'll be a good one. Okay, so yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is take our wipe and wipe our face. And these are just like cheap dollar store makeup wipes. Because they're for LARP and using on like really crappy paint, and I know I'm going to go through a lot of them, or not crappy paint, but like really heavy paint, and at the end of the weekend I'm going to go through about 6 of them to get the stuff off. I don't buy super expensive wipes for LARP makeup. Dollar store ones are fine. If you have sensitive skin, obviously you want to check them before you go to LARP. But yeah, we're just going to take everything, make sure my skin's really clean before I put anything on it. Because otherwise it'll just be kind of, especially with water-based makeup, it tends to go on really tacky and kind of like bad foundation if you don't clean your skin. So those are our first 2 steps. We're going to put on our headband and we're going to wash our face. So, my next step is that I'm going to start by putting on my prosthetic. So I'm going to pull out my mirror because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. And this mirror is really great because it's actually a Mary Kay mirror that they give to their consultants, and it has this nice little tray in the back, or the front, depending on how you sit it. But it has a spot, like it just kind of has a stand, so you can sit it up. So, we are going to take our prosthetic and our white powder, which, like I said, is probably easier with like a big fluffy brush and like a white skin powder. But the main idea is that you want to get the prosthetic in place where it's going to be sitting on your face, and then pat the powder around the edges to show you where the Pros-Aid needs to go on your skin. So it kind of gives you like an outline of where it needs to go. Sorry, this is a little bit of a process, so. And yeah, doing it definitely, I would definitely recommend trying to get like a big fluffy brush and doing it, because that is, yeah, a nightmare process. So you can kind of see, I now have like a really weird looking white outline around my nose. But that is going to be where we put the Pros-Aid, because you put it on both the transfer and on your skin. And you're going to let it kind of become tacky. It's almost like with eyelash glue. You want it to become a little bit tacky before you apply it. So we're going to take it, I always apply it to the transfer first. I don't know, it's just my own personal, I figure, because the transfer is not going to absorb it as fast, so it's going to take as like skin is. So I figure it's better to apply it to my transfer first, anywhere where it's going to be touching the skin needs to be made tacky. Obviously you don't want to put it like on the inside of the nostrils or anything. On this one has, because it has nose holes. But yeah, because the transfer is not going to absorb the Pros-Aid, I figure it's probably better to do, I've always done it on the transfer first, just because I figure the skin is going to absorb it. I have more time to worry about my skin and making sure that it's all on properly. This is so much bigger than doing elf ears. Okay, so this is confession time. This is my first time applying this particular transfer, so we're going to see how much of a nightmare and disaster this ends up being, because I am so used to my elf ears that are nice and easy to put on. So we're going to set that aside, and then we're going to take our, where we've marked on our face, and apply the Pros-Aid there as well. just all inside those lines. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it to be enough coverage that it's going to stick. And it doesn't have to go on like a certain direction or anything, because it's just about making sure that it's tacky. And I'm just being really careful, you don't want to get it in your mouth or nose. So I'm kind of putting it around, but not in my mouth, obviously. It's a really intensive prosthetic glue, so you don't want it too heavily on your face. So yeah, so I filled in all the areas where the powder marked, and we're just going to give that a couple seconds to get tacky. With Pros-Aid, I believe you actually want it to become clear, which you can see, and this is why I did it on the transfer first, because on my skin it's already starting to become clear, and on the transfer it's not yet. So we're going to sit and chill and get that sorted out, and then once that's ready to go, we will pop it on, and I'll show you just really carefully how I smooth everything on. And then I always put like a little kind of touch of Pros-Aid around the edges just to kind of smooth it into the skin, because I find that that's a little less finicky that way. So this one's taking a while to dry. So, oh, okay, there's a little bit pooling, that's what's going on. Okay, so we're just gonna, I'm actually spreading this out with my fingers a little bit, because it did, where the muzzle is here, did pool a little bit. So, and Pros-Aid will do that tacky glue thing to your fingers, so just be warned. So we're gonna take this and start kind of try and start kind of roughly in the middle of your transfer, because it's easier to center it on your face that way. And then we're going to spread it out over our face. I'm actually really curious to see how this works, because like I said, I've never actually used this type of transfer before. All my transfers are elf, so they're like ears. So then I'm just gonna go around the edges. Some people do this with like liquid latex or something, but if you do it with liquid latex, you are actually building up the edges of your transfer. So you have to be kind of careful about that, because you don't want it to be overdone either. So I just find that like touching it up with like Pros-Aid right around the edges, or like if you're broken, you're using something like spirit gum, that works too, but just again, you want to make sure your edges are nice and applied and clean. And this one is not sticking, so I may have to trim down the nose on this a little bit for future use, but for today's example, I think it's going to be okay. And then I'm just going down with this plastic end of the brush, and I'm just going to go in and make sure that all my edges are secure with something that is not going to break. So I actually don't mind how that looks. So there we go. We've got our prosthetic applied. We can start applying makeup. Because I am limited in the number of sponges I have, I'm going to build up my color. So I'm going to start with my white, and I'm going to do the white all kind of down on my jaw here, where you can see it on the picture. So I'm just taking my cake, spraying it a few times. This one's a little smaller, so I probably didn't need to spray it that many times. And then I'm taking the clean edge of my sponge. This isn't a used sponge, but it has been sitting in a makeup drawer, which means it does have a little bit of residue on it. So then we're taking this, and we're going to go kind of blending it into, and this is going to require probably a little bit of gray to blend it better, but You can kind of see we want to blend it into those lines and down. And even there, like, I'll probably take some more gray over there. So you can see, kind of just working it in. And then you can spray a little bit more. So actually probably just about the right amount of water on there the first time, because I'm getting pretty good coverage with this level of makeup. So maybe even starting a little bit lower on this one. And we're just doing like our whole chin. And again, this is going to be different depending on like your character, but just blending it into the latex prosthetic, or you know, if you're allergic to latex, whatever kind of prosthetic you've managed to figure out. A really good option for prosthetics, they're a temporary prosthetic, they're not a reusable one though, is Larp does some transfer style prosthetics, which are good. So that's an option if you're allergic to latex. So doing good so far. So, oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is before you do anything, I would definitely put in any contacts that you're going to wear. This is going to limit the issues of smearing makeup when you go to put them in later, especially if you're not used to contacts. A lot of people tend to cry when they wear contacts. So I'm just gonna see what the layering potential for this is, because it is a little later. It's going on a little bit later than I would normally like to see my base makeups. So yeah, so it looks like you can. I'm gonna pat it in a little bit because I don't want it to, and then you can blend it right into the prosthetic. So I might even not need to soften that up. I may be able to just blend the white right in. And like I said, I am just patting it in because we do want to try and get it to layer a little bit. Whereas you can see smudging would take away some of the makeup. So yeah, so essentially once you're happy with kind of the coverage you're getting from your makeup, and I always go lightest to darkest color. It is easier to fix if you do it that way, at least in my experience. Once those dark colors are on, adding light over top of them becomes very difficult, whereas adding dark onto a light color is very easy. So we are done for now with our white. So I always, one thing that I always recommend is making sure you get your lids on right away. Don't leave stuff open, especially if you're at a LARP where they loan makeup. It's super fucking rude. Sorry, language. If you're NPCing, for example, don't leave the makeup open in the NPC cabin. It's super rude, and it makes it a big mess for the next person who has to use it. So, so this is our gray that we're going to be using now. And I'm just actually flipping the sponge over entirely so that we're starting completely from scratch. And we're going to blend this in. Now, I am going to be wearing contacts with this character, so in future makeups, yes, there will be contacts in prior to these steps. So we're going to go in around the face. We're going to blend in as much as we can. So I'm probably going to darken this up a little bit with black. You can see it's quite a bit lighter gray. So this gray is not going on as well as the, as like say my white or black would. So that's going to be a learning curve, is definitely, like, and part of doing these tutorials and this character building is there's going to be some trial and error in early makeup application on a new, especially on a new character, and especially on something like this where the character is extremely makeup intensive. This character is also going to have probably a blonde wig, because I am going to, I've had these blonde dreadlocks that I was going to use for my half dragon originally, And she never they never really suited the character. So I think what I'm going to do is build a blonde wig for this character. So sorry about that, interruptions. So anyways, yeah. The big thing when you're doing any makeup is, like I said, it's going to be trial and error, especially with a new character. So this is very dark. Sorry, fiance just got home. So, so this one, for example, is probably something I would get in a darker color for future use, because it is going on a lot lighter than I anticipated, and it's not going on as, what's the word? As dark, or not as, opaque. It's not as opaque as I would have liked. So, we're gonna do some blending with the black to try and make that a little darker. You can see we're starting to get that kind of two-toned face. And then most of what I'm going to do from here is going to be creating the markings and blending out certain features. And I'm going to be doing that with a combination of probably black face paint and then like maybe some eyeliners and some lipstick. And if I can find the little brush that I was going to use. Of course. But now we're going to work kind of on some detail work, and I can't find the stupid little brush that I had before. But we're going to take that black and obviously spray it.
Told you I wasn't done yet.
And then I'm just going to take, I can't find my brush, so I'm just going to take this unused little like eyeshadow dude sponge. And we're going to find our very dirty now mirror. And we're going to go in and do some of the markings that we want to see on our character. So I'm just going to darken up the ones that I've already painted onto the mask, or onto the prosthetic, because I do like those and kind of how they came out. And they did get a little bit covered up by the makeup there. And the cool thing about any kind of tabby looking cat is that they're really not like perfectly symmetrical. So if you're doing like a tabby type cat, you don't have to be perfect. Life is good if if there's a couple of little painted errors. If anything, it kind of adds to the look. So normally I would use just like, I have a black cream to matte lipstick that I'd use here, but because I don't have that handy, we're just gonna paint in the lips here. So we're painting right into that crease in the prosthetic, and then all the way around my mouth. The one thing you have to watch with this kind of makeup is like feathering and spreading. So, which is fine, because really even in like an actual cat, you're gonna see some of that delineation. So we want to do like a really clear, dark markings around the eyes. So we're really just trying to, you're going from whatever your reference picture is, and you're really just trying to recreate it as much as possible. And I always go kind of step by step and just kind of go until I feel that I've reached a point where I am believable. Let me get some more of the paint on here. So, something that most tabbies in general are known for in their markings is this kind of pseudo M shape in their markings, and this one that we see in the picture here is no exception to that. So we are going to include some of those kind of tabby marks. And then I'm just patting in some of the black around the hairline here because I am noticing that our tabby has some darker kind of blending in her fur leading up over her head in between her ears. So we're going to our Mao, who is technically a gray tabby. Let's be honest here. So really, I think that's about it. There are some spots where you might want like some white markings. We have got some freckling in here. I am probably going to blot in some more freckling for whiskers. And again, the nice thing about latex prosthetics is that they can be drawn on with regular makeup. So, now that we're done that, I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm going to blend that black down into my gray. And I really want it to be nice and blended and fluffy and soft looking. And I mean, like, this is mostly going to be covered once my hair goes over it, but you do still want that kind of blended as much as possible. And then something I will often do, especially if I'm working with fur, is just blot over. So it's not, so the lines aren't quite as severe. Oh, except we did it with the gray. Oops. Okay, so that was my bad. But it just kind of, you take a clean part of your sponge, or clean sponge in general, and just kind of blotting it really makes the lines a little less severe and a little more naturally feline. And then the very, very last thing I want to try here, if I can find a clean applicator, is I'm really liking some of these like crisp white markings around the eyes that this particular feline has. So I think I'm going to take the edge of this guy here, because he looks sharp enough. And we're going to get some nice crisp white, or like brighter white anyway, under our eyes. Oh, that just went horribly. Like I said, experimentation is a thing. That's just not looking good at all. So yeah, so if I'm going to do that in future iterations of this makeup, because I just kind of ruined everything. If I'm going to do that in future iterations of this makeup, I am probably going to want to do it with a small brush and not a giant edge of a sponge, but we're just going to try and blend that back out. Actually, I mean, it did give some nice kind of fur-like feathering to our lines, so that's kind of nice. So yeah, so the big thing is, like, this is not as bright as I would like to see it. I will probably want to go in when I do this for Larp and make sure everything's a lot darker, the skin tone is a lot darker. Just be more careful because you can see when I applied makeup here, it stuck down the muzzle, and that's not what I wanted. So there's a few little trial and errors that can be taken with it. Big thing is it's just really making sure that your makeup fits what your Larp wants to see. So in the case of this particular character, they want feline makeup covering as much exposed skin as possible, or a mask, and then like usually ears and tails they like to see as well. So this is the starting point, and I will hopefully have an ears and tails video for you next time. I was supposed to do it with this video, and I'm sorry about that. It just didn't work out. So see you guys later. Bye.